All right, it's another episode of Comics That Influence. Jake and I'm Kurt
Hey
Brugel. I'm
everybody!
the anchor.
Hey everybody! I'm Jake Jacobs. I'm a penciler, and we're blogging here. We're video blogging here about all of our favorite comics. I have a surprise one. Obviously, it's in the bag, and Kurt's going to be talking about uh, Tarzan. There's a lot of iconic Tarzan artists. But my
This
my turn
is
first.
the original. This is the original, my friend. Wait till you see this bad boy when I crack the spine. This will this will be way larger than your puny little comic book, sir.
Right? Is that Hal Foster or something?
It is, but the
Oh
people will have to
wow!
wait
Okay.
until after we get through yours. So show
Well,
us
all
what
right.
you
I don't.
got in the bag.
So, my
Okay.
birthday was the other day, and my brother gets me a $200 gift certificate to Newberry Comics. This is like the local comic place at our mall.
By the way, we are not sponsored by Newberry Comics. If Newberry
No,
Comics would like to sponsor us, please contact us at.
right. No, actually, I have a lot of complaints about Newberry Comics.
Oh,
But,
great! There goes our sponsor.
but,
Oh, damn! You got it. Look at you.
yeah, but they are convenient. They're local. Every time I go to the post office, I can stop in there and I just check. So I go in there and I have this $200 gift certificate. And I go to the new arrivals kind of like shelf, and this is sitting on there. There's only two copies left. This is a Linsner cover. What's his name? Joseph Michael Linsner, right?
Yep.
Um, and it's pretty elegant. Some of this background stuff, it looks like it's like oil pastel or something. You can kind of see the texture of the art, but this is all like really tight, and like he's using these. I love when you use like the instead of a black outline, you use like a brown outline for a holding line,
Yeah, I do too.
and
I do too.
here they're doing the same thing for the for the light blue, and who knows if this is done on a tablet or whatever, but um
No,
this.
no, no, no. This is not done on a tablet. Those are all hand. He does not work digitally. I follow him. He
Oh
is the
yeah,
master, man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't
right.
say that about his
Okay.
work. Nope.
So I saw this cover, and then I said, "Oh wow, there's a whole different cover." There was only two copies left, and the other one I grabbed it first because it was bagged and boarded. Now you notice here it says the cover price is $3.99, right?
You got it
Um,
for $200.
no, so when I brought the other one up to the counter, it said $3.99 on the cover, but it was bagged and boarded. When you flipped it over, there was a sticker from Newberry Comics that said it was $7.99. And I said, "It says
Oh.
$3.99 right there. What are you talking about?" The lady's trying to ring me up. And I was like, they were like, "Oh no, we mark it up." I mean, they didn't say that. They said, "Oh no, that's our price because it is a, a special ratio variant."
For
And
the store? Is it just for Newberry Comics?
well, they decided to put a bag on it and a board and put a sticker on it and make it $7.99 instead of $3.99. So apparently, this was
Well,
the
no, they
most.
do have. Do you do recognize that you can do um, store variant covers? That means that store pays to get the artist to make that cover, and then they do a print run where you can only purchase it through the store, albeit not only at the store but in online too. So that's probably why they marked it up. Is that basically you have yourself a Newberry cover, Newberry Comics cover. I'm assuming. I don't know. That's all I know about it.
No,
I've seen
it's
it.
no. We got the skinny right here. This is I bought cover A with art by Joseph Michael Linsner. There's another cover B by Leonardo Manco, and this was not the cover either. Remember, there's only two copies left, so I don't know which is the most rare or whatever. There's another cover C by Gary Frank. That looks really nice, painted stuff, really good, kind of like Warren Creepy inspired stuff. There's a
Nice.
cover D by Gary Noro or Gary Nord. I can't see it that well. And then here's cover E, 10 copy incentive, line art by Joseph Michael Linsner, which
Hmm.
proves that he is doing this in black and white like this first, and then everything else is laid up on top of it. This is cover F, and this is the one in the store that I grabbed off the shelf. It was bagged and bordered, and it is a 15 copy incentive. And so
I
now I'm
don't understand.
seeing,
What does 15 copy incentive mean?
well, it sounds to me like they only made 15 copies of it.
Yeah, for Newberry.
No, Newberry had one, and they were selling it for
Uh,
$7.99. And maybe I
wow,
should have
markup
bought.
already.
Maybe I should have
Yeah.
bought it. But if that's the case, why don't they just print, not print the same price on there? Anyway, this is a 15 copy incentive. This is a black and white version of this cover. This is a black and white version of this cover. And then this is a 20 copy incentive. This is this cover, but it's a virgin cover, meaning it doesn't have a masthead. And that's like apparently some kind of like special collectible art by Gary Frank. And then here it's a 25 copy incentive red line art by Joseph Michael Linsner. Honestly, I don't care. To me, this doesn't make any difference. They're just inventing the rarity here. Here's cover J, 30 copy incentive. This is this cover without a masthead, so it's a virgin art cover. And then here's the virgin art cover, 30 copy incentive. So maybe I'm a dummy. Maybe I should have just said 7.99. Who cares? There's only 15 copy incentives on that. Do they actually print up only 15 copies of that? Or maybe they mean 30 copies for every 100 or what? I don't know. Um, these are the questions, but um, I got this comic because I bought number one. It has really good interior art. This is a Fire and Ice is a franchise created by Ralph Bakshi, I guess, and Frank Frazetta in collaboration. Maybe there were some other production companies involved, uh, but it was a great animated feature length movie put out. I think in
Um, I really wanna just go back to this cover incentive thing. All I want to ask is if anybody anybody watching right now can put something that educates us in the comments, that would be super helpful. Because to be honest with you, I don't want to waste a moment of my time searching on the internet for the explanation. I've got way too many things. The only thing I've ever really gleaned in information being put out is, and it's usually on Kickstarters, is it's some incentive for the comic book stores. That's what I want somebody to either endorse or correct me on.
Well, you're talking
So,
about a comic book. I mean, no, I've seen that before, where it's an exclusive, and there's usually like a
right.
stick. There's usually like a sticker for that. Newberry is a comic book chain. I don't know if they get anything special printed up for them, but
I
I
don't
do
know.
understand. I do understand that they do these multiple covers now, and that some are rarer than others. Like if there's 10 of these for every one of these, that kind of thing. The only question I have, if anybody knows, is does 10 copy incentive mean there's only 10 copies in existence? Or does that mean,
No, what I think it is if a store buys 10 copies of A, you can get one copy of that. Therefore, you can mark it up.
okay, you buy 10 of
Does that
these,
make sense?
yeah, so these are the common four
Those are the
covers.
four that go out. Those are the four that
S-
go out as distribution. But
So
if
if you
I
buy
purchase
10,
four, yeah, 10, they'll submit, they'll give you an additional copy.
right, so if you buy 10, you get one of these. If you buy 50, so this is like enticement for the dealer. It says incentive.
It's
That
all about dealers. It's
that
all
makes
about
sense.
the
So
comic book stores.
right. So if they buy 10, they get this. If they buy 15, I guess they get, like 13 of these, one of these, and one of these. If they buy, yeah,
But then
or and one
they
of these.
can mark it up. That's what it all originates because you
Right.
didn't buy one that was for $7.99 markup because on the cover it says $3.99. So why would you? Well, that's why you would, because they're trying to create out of the
Right.
gate, which I think is pretty
Rarity.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's secondary market. They want to inflate the secondary market immediately when it goes to the shelf. In other words, the value of the comic book is $3.99, but the purchasing value of it is now $7.99. If I resell it, right? Let's say a year later, I put it on eBay for $15.99 and it sells. Well, now the secondary market has taken that cover and has overvalued it.
Right.
And now it
And
will create something.
years from now,
It'll
anybody
be
that owns,
worth 50 cents.
well, it maybe. I mean, there
Come
is a
on, dude. That's how this whole thing works. We've been living this since the 90s. I mean, I jumped out of comic books at the end of the 90s, if not halfway, for this exact reason. It's an inconclusive, speculative market that's trying to make money immediately instead of on the investment value of the product, character, IP, artist, writer, so on and so forth. I think it's just very
yeah.
lame and it's going to kill. This is I've seen on other YouTube channels recently, one with Mike Millar and the owner Gary from Comic Book Palace, who goes on this big rant. I don't know if you've seen the meme of it yet. It's pretty freaking amazing. But I think this is the stake, one of the last stakes in the ground for the end of comic book stores.
Well,
This is the end. This is the end.
you say that, but this is just another fad, another thing that they're doing, and I can tell you that I've seen
God.
Whatnot broadcasts where they have there's a whole plethora of different covers, and they're selling them for hot money because it's like some,
Are
you
they
know,
really? You're seeing somebody buy them? They're
I've
selling them at the marked price, but is anybody buying it at the marked price?
yes,
Those are two
they
different
are.
worlds. Those are two different worlds.
I'm telling you, I saw a Whatnot a couple of months ago, and there was this dealer, and she had all of these. There was this hot new character, and she was like a cosplay model, and there was some art. There was an art version of it, and there was one comic.
She
They
dressed as
must
Tigra.
they must have shown 20 different covers. There was a really saucy cosplay model version, and then what they would do is just zoom in a little bit more and sell the cover like that. And this lady was selling these things online for $50 a pop,
You
over and
saw
over. All
people make the purchase.
Absolutely $70, $80 because they're
Like
all limited one.
sold. She was
Dude,
doing that.
well, it's Whatnot. The app
I don't
does
know.
it.
I've never been on it. Never been on it. So
Yeah, well, it
I have
says
no idea.
sold. Yes, it says
I'm taking your word for it.
Well, anybody could go on Whatnot, download the app, go and see. People are selling stuff right now. And in this case, they were getting very healthy prices for this limited comic that had just come out. And this dealer got all of these rare copies and was selling them on Whatnot, getting good money. It was, and they didn't show the insides of the
Why would
comic at all.
somebody spend? Once again, somebody has to explain this to me. Why would somebody spend $70 on a comic book that's valued at $3.99 that has a different cover on it?
Because there was
Somebody, please explain this to me. And will that person, having spent the $70, get $70 back in a year? I don't think so.
right, exactly. Who knows?
I do. I
You
just
know,
said it. They're not going to. They're not going to.
Well, they were like, holographic, platinum foil,
Once again,
all
we
this
went
kind of
through
stuff.
this in the 90s. We went through this in the 90s. None of that
Yeah.
shit's worth anything. I sold a holographic it was an image book. I can't remember. It might have been it was Cyberforce #1. You know how much I got for it? Cover
Cyberforce, well,
price.
that's Image Comics.
Yeah, but but the reason they made the foil stamp and they made different versions of it, and this was the version that was supposed to be the most
Talking about
invested in
this
that.
kind of stuff,
And
I know, but the whole thing ended up
uh,
just being like, who cares? You can get Savage Dragon #1, right now. It's like that. I mean, maybe they printed too many copies, maybe they flooded the markets,
they most
whatever they
definitely
did.
did. But let's
Maybe it
digress. Let's digress because you're flashing that art and it's sweet and juicy. That is some great stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the cover artists, Leonardo Manco. He's the one that did this cover that I was about to get.
Yeah. I've been seeing more and more. That's
Yeah, and
fantastic.
this is just continuing where they left off from the last one. You have this the whatever the character is, Red Wolf. He's super cool. You're getting
Dark
into all
Wolf.
this Dark Wolf, yeah. You're getting into all this nasty action scenes here, where they're like, having a freaking axe fight with a marauding zombie cannibal. And look, he picked up the goddamn horse, excuse my French, and he threw the horse on the ground. No animals were harmed in the making of this. Um, and then you're getting the ads. So yeah, this is Dynamite Comics, man. You're talking about gimmick central. You're talking about public domain characters. You're talking about licensed characters. This is Dynamite. These are these companies that are trying to make a go of it. It says Dynamite Digital Comics. All these big names here. All these characters. We're gonna see all the ads. Look at all the different Vampirella titles they have. It's just like flooding the market. Everything's a gimmick. Everything's but here's some great quality. This really takes you back. This is like the Ice King or the Ice Lord or whatever, right? And
Necron. It's
Necron, the
Necron.
ice, yeah, the Ice Lord, right? He moves the mountains. That's the face he made. um so this is really nice insights. No wonder they want to like make a million different covers and sell, try to sell as many of these as they can. But a lot of these other Frazetta titles are not as good. I think Fire and Ice has really good inside art, and that's what makes it here. Look at this. Wow.
Yeah, I have
Um.
to make a confession. I'm waiting for the trade to come out.
Oh yeah.
I made it. I was tempted to go down and get issue one, and then just last week I saw issue two released, and or yeah, this past week, and I'm
Yeah.
just
They're
like
trying.
I don't know.
They're making the
I just
art,
wait
and
for
they're
the trade.
trying to. They're trying to get all.
And
They're trying.
if they don't make a trade, I'll just wait for it to be $1 or $2 in the bins when I go to another comic book convention.
Yeah. You think this would be? Well,
I
I
know
don't
it, dude.
know.
I know it. I can't wait to find the $70 cover in a bin for $2 at my local Comic Con in was it February? I think Galacticon is, and I'm gonna show it off.
Right.
It's
Well.
it is the bane of the comic book industry's existence is its short-sightedness on speculative market, and it gets me so riled up. It's very hard for me to come out of the space because it shows just how immature and short-sighted this business model is. The only saving grace one could have is doing an indie book like you and I are doing, or any of the other individuals that we've interviewed on the Indie Comic Exchange, where you're building a community around something you're building because, like Fire and Ice, we're talking about sword and sorcery, and stuff that looks like a movie that we all saw and grew up with, or haven't yet seen it, but will. And then Frazetta, and then it's a great package, but they're really diminishing the value of it. My other question is this, and I will look this up: is the artist making hand drawn pages and then scanning them, inking them, or however? Because if he's not drawing that with a pencil, that is a sin because
It
he is
looks like
losing
pencil.
money. He's losing money in the long distant market because the long distant market is when he's in his 60s and he's got the complete page stack of original pencils. If comic books still are in existence, um, he'll have a retirement fund. But if it's digital, he just screwed himself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is this is this is kind of a new thing. We spoke about this when I did number one on this broadcast. Is the Frank Frazetta worlds are expanding because they're basically characters that were invented in paintings. And for Fire and Ice, it's a little different because there was a movie made, and these characters were explored, and a storyline was explored. I think this is pencil art that's really scanned in, and it's really delicate. This reminds me a little bit of Corbin. Sometimes in your process now you can just take pencils and do whatever with it on the computer. This looks a little scumbling here. and some some tone here, but then they definitely come in and they do good stuff with it when they colorize it. This kind
Yeah,
of
I
has the
agree.
feel.
The color's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No, the color's not bad, and it also has the feel of an animated movie. I think
Yes, I
how
agree.
you
I
know
very much agree with you on that. Yes.
and the guy is also very, very obviously doing his Frazetta homework, and
Sure.
and he's also doing like some really good John Buscema homework and stuff. Um, some really nice styles here, and they got their characters. The Frazetta girls are licensing all of these different Frazetta world characters to Dynamite, including Fire and Ice. You got the Mothman coming out. Um, you have like something called like Dawn Patrol or something. You have the Death Dealer, of course, which has been out for a while, and I forget what the other titles are, but this is really the good one. Uh, and I'm gonna stop it there.
Okay.
Really good stuff. But here's some ads. You can buy the Dark Wolf action figure from Bakshi Productions now. Here's the Frazetta Girls imprint, and they're selling all these limited edition stuff. And for Dynamite Comics, it's just a couple more titles here in the pantheon. They're handling everything. They're doing Disney licensing. They're doing Dija Thoris licensing. We spoke about that. They're doing all these kind of Flash Gordon stuff, gargoyles, you name it. They're pushing stuff out. They're flooding
Cool.
the zone. Flooding the zone.
There you go. Flooding the zone. All right, everybody. All right. Let's flood the zone.
So that's my report.
Woohoo! Well, thank you, because I was dying to see what the follow up issue of that would be. A lot of people have been getting those issues and doing reviews on the channels that I follow on YouTube, and I purposely did not watch one of the guys there, and I'm glad you were able to get it as part of your birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday! All right, so I gotta move my mic here. So can you still hear me, Jake? Like, am I
Yes.
good and clear? So I do not have the ability to raise up my camera any higher. I actually cut down my poles about a month ago just to help me create a little mid range. This book, let me get a. So this book is that's 15. So that's 20 inches by 15 inches. And what this is an oversize for Phil Hal Foster, who created Tarzan and then went on to create, who was that other guy?
Flash Gordon or Hal Foster. Oh, he did Prince
Valiant. Prince Valiant. Yeah. He did Prince Valiant. So I probably I'm just gonna do the best I can right now. But so the one statement I want to make is in maturing, the time process of maturing as a comic book artist, the two most difficult comic book artists that I had in appreciating was Jack Kirby and Hal Foster. And now, if you had to make me put a top 5 list of favorite comic book artists, Jack Kirby and Hal Foster would be in there. So these were given to me. I have book 1 and 2. This is 1933 to 35, and I also have. Oh, sorry. Here, let me do something here. Let me change this up a bit.
So this is just the beginning.
Now, this is the beginning, 31 to 33. So I have 2 copies, and then that's that. So I don't want to get ahead. So these were gifted to me years ago. I was cleaning the basement again or organizing my section for art and everything, and I came across these, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do a big comic because I do have a couple of more downstairs, different titles and stuff that I want to do. But all comic books, all comic books originate with Hal Foster. It's there's no other way of getting around it. Now, when I say comic books, I am completely leaning in and over on the action hero side. So your Marvel DC characters, end up coming from what Hal Foster was able to do, not only in the art form. These are Sunday strips, so they were full color, sometimes 2 pages. The impact that this work had on the industry just trying to become comic books, but then the artists that were scrambling to make a living as an artist slash comic book artist, and that includes Jack Kirby.
Yeah,
The,
people should realize that you're talking 31 to 33 here. This is about 5 6 years before Superman comes out. So
yep,
these are
yep.
these are what the heroes were like before the superheroes came along. The Tarzan and Flash Gordon and Zorro and the Lone Ranger, and they didn't really have superpowers, but they had heroic exploits. And Tarzan was a property. It was movies with Johnny Weissmuller. It was comic strips that we're seeing here, and then you also had the fledgling comic book format that was coming out too, and you had the pulps, right? So there was that, and of course Edgar Rice Burroughs launched it all with the text version. I guess maybe years before or decades before. When does Edgar Rice Burroughs come out with the Tarzan books?
Oh yeah, like early teens, 19 teens,
Right
like
there you go.
12, 11 to,
Uh huh.
yeah, yeah, and that is a great addition to my hyperbolic statement of the beginning of comics, because what the pulps were doing was basically moving away from high end fiction, people wanting to become a well recognized author, and just making stories, and a lot of it, categorically silly back then and even now, but they were adventurous, so they were escapism, and giving the ability to go to
33
another
was the big
planet.
1933 was the beginning of the Great Depression.
Yeah,
Talking about
yeah,
escapism,
yeah, yeah,
keep me
exactly.
away from my drab existence.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it
So,
says
what? Go ahead.
it says Edgar Rice Burroughs first appeared in the novel Tarzan of the Apes magazine publication 1912, book
Yep.
publication 1914, subsequently 23 sequels, several books by Burroughs and other authors, innumerable works in other media, authorized and unauthorized.
Right. Exactly. And then all the knockoffs. How many? Like, I think there's a website that has, like, I don't know, it's like 35 plus and counting Tarzan knockoffs. So,
Yeah,
but
and
you could also take Roger Kipling's The Jungle Book into account on what
right,
inspired
right, yeah,
Burroughs to do Tarzan, because this would be kind of like the older version of Mowgli, so but this is the thing that I think is really interesting as I'm moving along in my development, even just as a human being, is the whole legend of Greystoke. So, you get introduced to something like this as a child, and you just think, oh, this guy runs around in his leotard and he's a jungle man. That's what he does. But then you find out, oh, he was abandoned by his family there. Oh, isn't that terrible? But you find out very later that he is found, then brought back to English society, and he's Lord. He's Lord
yeah,
Greystoke. So he's the heir to, regal English regality, and so that right there takes this kind of surface level nonsense that comic books can kind of claim itself in, and then drop, just whoo, whoa, wait, now
Yeah,
what can you do? And the
that was
comic
like
book
yeah.
does that. It leans so much into his ability to be in these two worlds. So you have to think of it like, um, if we're in the Great Depression and things are really economically tough, and I'm able to get my hands on a newspaper, whether I'm buying it or picking it up at the barbershop or something and reading it, the escapism is very fluid. It's not
Hmm.
just out on another planet somewhere like Mars. It's here on planet Earth, and this guy is saying it's just a great combination. I'm going to pull this down. I love these mastheads. These
Hmm.
mastheads are just every one gets a new one, and they just give this sweet little um,
And
teaser.
so this is before the Prince Valiant stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't own Hal Foster doesn't own Tarzan, so he was being commissioned, I think, by a syndication through the rights acquired by Burroughs. And so then there's I think documentation that towards the end of his run he was already doing Prince Valiant because he had a contract to finish Tarzan, but he hated it. He just
Uh-huh.
couldn't stand it any longer. And I think it was chalked up to him not being able to really make the money, lion's share of the money. And of course, does such a fantastic job with Prince Valiant that the man makes mint.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was a very careful artist. He didn't have like very dynamic camera angles, but he did a very, very, very professional job of drawing characters in realistic proportion consistently and quickly, and with aplomb and and a personal style that's one for the ages. Everybody talks about how he influenced Frazetta and pretty much everybody else that came after him. So, mad
Oh, the
props.
swipes, the swipes that is just amazing. I mean, I
Legendary.
can,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but this was also somebody that could afford models. So these are actual human beings that would come to his studio, and they would take that pose, and he would be able to make a sketch and then use that sketch to develop it up, which also is another really interesting part of the legacy is there's no word balloons. It's just type set somewhere in a space left by Foster in order to tell the story. So really what it is just it's just
Captions. Yeah.
illustrated text. Comic book, yes, but there's a dynamic with generating panels and the page flow. But there's something, once again, the birth of comic books is coming out of this play of what's being said here and what's being shown here. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Talk about Frazetta swipe. I mean, he swiped
Yeah.
this fallen log 135 times.
And Joe
It's
Kubert
just
is what
great.
is yeah,
Oh
Joe,
yeah. They
very
say
close.
Kubert's happiest days was doing the Tarzan run when DC was able to pick it up for
They
licensing.
had Tarzan. I think there was another character called like Tor or something that was
Well,
also
it was it Torak. Torak, I think, is the
Torag. Yeah.
son. Yeah, Torak
Right.
is. Oh no, Korak. Korak is the son of Tarzan.
Well, there was also Tor and all these other
Oh yeah,
guys,
well
but
that's he's a caveman. Tor's a caveman.
okay, right. Yeah, so a lot of like people's style just
Beautiful,
got influenced. Just go over it again and again.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
so be honest. How do you feel about the colors on this edition?
Well, these are scans. This is original color and scans. There's probably some obvious adjustment to get the tint of the paper because these are
The
scanned from the
vibrancy
originals.
back. Yeah.
These are direct scans. So I do like it a lot. I love the distressed kind of
look to it.
quality, because like here's one. Let me play this over here. If you look at this pterodactyl-ish kind of thing, but there's green on, so there's blue. So this pterodactyl is blue. Then they throw a red on there to get the purple. Then they throw a yellow on there to get a green. You know,
And
so
that's why
that's
I asked
that's
because
pretty cool.
you had completely different technology when this came out,
Ah, yeah,
and this
newspaper
might be
technology.
this might be what they should be doing is getting some decent colorists to do a creative interpretation that is also faithful to the original somehow.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look flat and
Here's
boring.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even here, same thing. You can even see the dots. So
The halftone
this
dots.
is this is 34. So and this is all being done through the syndication. I mean, check that out. That's a
Uh-huh.
portrait right there. To
Mm-hmm.
get the tone of the flesh and then the shadow of the hat over the flesh. I mean, there's some work going in. Someone was taking some great pride in being a part of the contribution and
It's not like
making
there
this
was a
happen.
lot of other great stuff coming out in 1934,
Not
1931.
action adventure. That's why I place him, really at the beginning. I don't. I'm just picking up what other people say. But so there's this. It's great stuff. And the reason I ended up falling in love with him is my obsession with sword and sorcery. When you read what inspired who to inspire who to inspire who to inspire
Yeah.
who, Edgar Rice Burroughs really builds a world building system, if you will, for people to immerse themselves into, swim around, and then kind of come out with, ooh, I got my own version of that, but I'm going to place it here. And I'm not going to have alien technology. I'm going to have wizardry. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the next thing you know, they get published and, they stick with it, they go along. And that's Robert E. Howard and Robert E. Howard for Conan. It's not only Burroughs, but there's other people. Like here's another good one. Jack London is
Right.
attributed to being Robert E. Howard's real. And when you read um, Jack
All of
London,
them. Yeah.
oh, anything. I mean, it's some rough stuff. And he was in the pulps too. So
Yeah.
it's not to be taken lightly, and it's also not surprising how many people are flooding back to the oldies, looking for inspiration or something to work with, whether it's an already established IP or it's just the landscape and the world building and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
and I also have to say this too. And I just want to try to find a page that really exemplifies it. I mean, I'll use this one, but I think the thing that really connects with me, because I often bring it into the making of Turbo episodes, where the day before on Saturdays or days before that episode, I've done a life drawing, and like I
Mm-hmm.
said, he brings these models into the studio and has them pose. They don't have to be in costume. They could just be wearing whatever they're wearing, basically form fitting to their body. But he gesturally captures in a life drawing type and then moves them into the world. That's where I start. Oh, here's even a better. This is
Yeah. I
even
mean,
better.
this is like
Like look at that. How many people have stolen that? I mean, that
what.
pose right there. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
What we're talking about is basically rotoscoping for
Yeah, great,
comics
great way of
rather
putting it. Yeah, great way of
rather
putting it. Yeah,
rather than animation. The great animators rotoscope on top of film,
but
and
he's not
he
using photographs, Jake. That's the only thing I would make. He
right. He's
he
got
does,
live
he's
models and.
he has they have like Alex Raymond obviously is another one for Flash Gordon. Same thing. I mean, he Rip Kirby. That's some insane
Yeah,
amount
I
of.
mean
I
when
think
the
that does
inventor
get into photographs, but this is all
when you get
down
to
and
the
dirty.
when you get to the invention of the Polaroid, that's when you see
And
people
that's
like
Al Williamson.
yeah, like Neil Adams. They have their
Yeah,
photo references. You don't
yeah.
need the you just need the life drawing model there for like 5 minutes because you take all your Polaroids and then they could leave.
Exactly. You probably spend more time reloading the Polaroid camera than you do actually shooting pictures of the models.
Right. And nowadays you got a
Great point.
digital. Now you have digital cameras with
On your
printers, so you
phone, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
just get your
ridiculously.
models in there and get them out, and then
Yeah,
do
yeah,
your
yeah,
artwork all night long with
yeah.
your Jolt Cola.
Right.
So
Joel Cola. So
yeah,
that's what I have. I'm glad I was able to figure out how to share this with everybody. I am going to post these on my website, kurtbrugel.com, and sell them because they're just taking up too much room in my little humble abode.
oh
I
yeah,
don't think they're doing any justice. So, just a little shout out there. I put a link to my
you hear
store
that,
on
folks?
kurtbrugel.com. And
Reach out.
I'll give reasonable pricing. Right now, I see them going for anywhere from $150 to $300 a pop, and I would sell the two of them in a combo. The shipping is probably going to cost just as much, but we'll find out. But that's what I got, Jake.
All right. Well, I've been doing a little doodling while we're talking, and this was a lot of fun. So
Woo! Hi there,
let's
Turbo.
yeah. So let's get back to it, and we'll meet again next Sunday. We'll do this again with a couple more comics.
Absolutely. We'll see you
All
next
right.
week.
Later, Big Chief.